August 21st meeting of the East Long Meadow Planning Board. We have present George Kingston, Russ Denver, Lou Moravito, and John Torsia. So, have to announce that this meeting is being recorded for the minutes and also being recorded by LCAT, and ask if anyone else is recording the meeting. Hearing none, we'll proceed. I will start with asking for a motion to take item number 15 out of order. That's the meeting dates.
Okay, so moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have to change our September meeting dates because September 4th is the primary, and we can't meet on the primary. And September 18th is Rosh Hashanah. We don't want to meet then. So, it's being proposed that we would meet on the 11th and the 25th. I know the 11th is Patriots' Day, and there's a vigil at 8 o'clock, but if we can wrap up the meeting by 8, we should be in good shape. And does that work for people?
So I can do the 11th, I can't do the 25th.
Okay.
So,
Anybody else have issues with any of those dates? I can do the 11th and the 25th. If we can get a quorum for the 25th, we can go ahead. Okay, and as usual. So do we have a motion to change the September dates from the 4th and the 18th to the 11th and the 25th?
so moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. So that gives us dates that we can continue hearings to tonight. November, we don't have to act on immediately. November 6th is the election, so we can't meet then. November 20th is the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. I don't have a problem with that. I don't know if anyone else does.
I don't.
You know, it's before Thanksgiving, it's not like it's a holiday. So we should be able to do that one. What I'd suggest we do is we wait on that one and see how much business we've got before changing things around. Okay. Next, I would ask a motion to take out of order item number 11, the zoning amendment change.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We have a letter from R. Levesque and Associates. Dear Mr. Kingston and board members, on behalf of the applicants, John H. Stevens and Stephen A. Davis, we are herein requesting a continuance of the August 21st Planning Board meeting scheduled for proposed zoning amendment at the above referenced site to the next available meeting anticipated to be held September 4th. So we're not meeting on the 4th. I would like a motion to, let's reopen the hearing, which is what I will do. And then I will ask for a motion to continue that hearing to 6 o'clock on September 11th.
Can you repeat that again? That's all right.
I'm
Motion to
open
continue?
to continue to 6 o'clock on September 11th.
So I would like to speak to this. So this would essentially be the third continuance. I think it's inappropriate that we continue to do this. I think that it's unfair to the residents who make time out of their busy schedules to come to these meetings to express their opinion. So I will agree to make a motion to continue it with the following caveat, that if they wish to continue again, that we receive in writing at least 7 days prior to the hearing, a notice that they wish to continue, and notice be given to all the abutters.
Do I have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Any further discussion?
I fully agree.
No, we're not taking input at this point. All
I
those
was
in
just
fa-
curious, when did we receive this? Was this only?
We received it today by fax, I assume, because it's dated the 21st.
Okay. Yeah, so that, I agree.
That's not really
you know, there were
acceptable.
people, I talked to people, just yesterday about
Yeah.
it, and assumed that it was still going on.
I agree. This is, they should have known.
There are reasons behind that, I can clarify what.
Well, I would assume they knew it's at least a few days in advance.
We've been, this is not about the public hearing, this
Right.
is just about the procedure. So we did actually reach out, and we're waiting for a letter from the town council, which our understanding is that there may be an opinion. We do not require the zone change to do the project that we want to do.
You need to get an official.
So we needed to get that official. So there was one letter that came out, it didn't really address the specifics of that, so we're waiting on that. So to my knowledge, that has still not come out yet. There may be, other information, so we did not get that. So that was why they requested the continuance. So we apologize, but we were waiting. We're hoping that we were going to get that.
I would suggest you work with the staff to try to resolve those issues. We have a motion on the table. All those in favor?
Just prior to that. So which letter from town council, the one dated July 11th or 12th?
July 13th.
July
There was
13th?
something, there was one that came out that basically said nothing. It was silent on the issue about where to measure whether or not to measure the setback from the zoning district boundary.
And have you addressed, gotten in touch with town attorney and asked?
We did, actually. Two of my clients have, I believe, not only, because it's also a matter for the.
We'll deal with that when we get to that. Okay.
One more question.
Sure.
So how is this exchange taking place with you and the town attorney?
It's through each of their attorneys. So John DeCruz, on behalf of the Solima family, has contacted town council directly. And I believe Frank Fitzgerald has been at least in contact with Ms. Broaders, but I don't know if he's been in contact directly with town council. I believe he did get a letter from the building inspector, but not necessarily from town council.
We have a motion on the table. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Just for your information, the motion was to continue to the 11th with the contingency that, the stipulation that if they want to continue it, we need to get that 7 days in advance, and they need to notify the abutters.
This is
Okay.
for item 11?
That was item 11, yeah.
Okay.
And then I would ask, well, let's hold off on that one because Mr. Caravetta is not here, and we'll go back into order. We've agreed to meet on September 11th and 25th, and we are putting off the November decision until we see what business looks like in October. Okay? Okay. The next item of business is the endorsement of plans, review of covenants, stormwater, O&M, and declaration of homeowners association for hidden ponds. This also is going to be continued to the 11th because we have not received all of the documents necessary for that review. And this hearing has been closed already, so we don't need to vote on continuing it, we just need to reschedule it. It gets us into the site plan waivers. Russ?
Did we do the minutes?
Oh, we need to do the minutes, yeah, sorry.
So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I just have one thing to
Okay.
just change about it.
Sure.
When we voted on the hidden ponds, I think it said that it was a 4-0 vote, but I had voted against it.
Oh, is that, okay.
Okay, so it was 3-1.
But,
With that amendment, I'll make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have site plan waivers. First one is 14 LaSalle Street for State Line Landscaping. Let's see. Why don't we make you the clerk? Come on, press.
No, we'll make Jonathan the clerk.
Okay. John, can you
You're the clerk
read?
tonight, John.
Okay.
Do you have the,
Yes. All right. So I'm going to request for waiver of site plan review, so you want me to
Yeah.
check the property owner, Jonathan Winipero, owner's address is 14 LaSalle Street, East Long Meadow, Mass. Name of proposed business, Satellite Landscaping, same business owner's address. Our proposed hours of operation, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Numbers of employees, including owner 1. Summary of business operation, it's going to be a home office. So, let's see. No changes to building, site, or lot. The current use of property is residence, proposed use of property is home office. The project description is, I currently have a home office at 17 Rufino Road and would like to move it to 14 LaSalle Street.
So this is just a home office, there are no trucks at the place. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. Next one we have is 61 Colony Drive.
Okay, 61. An East Long Meadow request for a waiver of site plan review. The property owner is Talala Mahana. The owner's address is 61 Colony Drive in East Long Meadow, Mass. The name of the proposed business is TSMA Auto Sales. The same owner of business, same property address. Our proposed hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday. No cars on premises. Summary of business operation, sale of used motor vehicles, wholesale only, no retail, no repairs, home office only. So no commercial vehicles and no amount of product storage. Yes, current use of property is residential and the proposed is office. So office space including computer, phone to accommodate sales of used vehicles, no display or repairs made on premise, auction, wholesale, no retail. And no changes to building, site, or lot.
Okay, so a home office. Have a motion on this one? Do
So moved.
you have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And we have Zane's Smoke Shop.
All right. East Long Meadow request for waiver of site plan review. The property owner is Daniel Burak of 157 Summers Road in East Long Meadow, Mass. So the name of proposed business is Zane's Smoke Shop. Owner of business is Mohammed Talah and Sarib Nawaz. And the business owner's address is 17 Locust Street, Springfield, Mass. And 1 Eagle Drive, South Hadley. The property address would be 611 North Main Street here in East Long Meadow. And it's a business property district. The proposed hours of operation would be 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Number of employees, including owner, is 2. Date of last parking plan was July 17th of this year. The summary of business operations is it's a retail tobacco store and Keno Lounge. So there are no changes to building, site, or lot. The current use of the property is unoccupied, and this would be for the smoke shop. So yeah, retail tobacco store or smoke shop.
Okay, so this would be similar to the vape place on Shaker Road. This is next to the nail salon, okay? This is where the Asian Body Works used to be. Okay. So,
I'll make a motion to waive just for the purposes of getting discussion going.
okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, further discussion?
So, Connie and George, a question. So do we have the ability to change the proposed hours of operation?
What are the proposed hours of operation again?
7 a.m. to 11 p.m.
You do not in your bylaw have hours of operation stipulated. What I always urge my boards to do is consider what has been done in the past and to follow that precedent model. So if you have a smoke shop that's open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., then you should continue with those hours of operation with proposals that are brought before you. That is something we should work on in our bylaw, but again, I would just consider what you've already approved in the past.
And what do we have for the vape shop? Do we know?
No, I'm sorry, I do not.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
Find out.
like if we have Emporium News, that's similar to
Right.
what they're doing here.
Right.
Okay.
I don't know what their hours of operation are. I think they're open at 6 in the morning
Yeah,
to 11 at night.
yeah.
Planet Vape
So it's
closes at
not
9 p.m.
unreasonable for that sort of business. And Yeah, I mean, it's a perfectly legal business, there's nothing, you know. This will be basically the third one in town. No, fourth one. We also have a cigar shop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Were you able to find that, Tracy?
Planet Vape has posted hours on Google as closing at 9 PM.
okay. But that doesn't
Yeah.
speak to what we approved for it, so we'd have to dig that up. But I have no objection to
So I know the property owner's here.
Yeah.
If I could ask a question. So the nail salon is open what hours?
I believe they close at 9, only because that's the nature of that business. I mean,
Yeah.
people aren't getting their nails done at 10 o'clock at night.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. Very good. Happy to see something go in there. I'm sure you are. Okay, next one is LinguaLinks.
So, the East Long Meadow request for waiver site of plan review. Property owner is Meridol Zenares of 50 Indian Spring Road. The name of the proposed business is Linguistics with Meridol Zenares. Same address, same as above. Property district is residential A. The proposed hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 9 AM to 1 PM. Number of employees, including owner, is 1. The summary of business operation is teaching foreign languages at local school before or after, so a home office only. It's the current use of property is single family. The project description is teaching foreign language at local school. No changes to the building, site, or lot.
Another home office. Have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the last one. This is a change in ownership, I believe.
So the East Long Meadow request for a waiver of site plan review. The property owner is Jeff Markowitz of 98 Green Meadow Drive. The name of proposed businesses is Impressions 2. The owner of the business is Janine Jones. The business owner's address is 45 Pioneer Circle. Property address is 43 Maple Street. The proposed hours of operation are 8 AM to 10 PM, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The number of employees, including owner, are none. Summary of business operation, hair salon, change of ownership. And there is no changes to building site or lot. The current use is hair salon, and the proposed use will still be a hair salon.
Okay.
So,
So it's just a change in ownership. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Want to announce that
Okay.
Shaker Road was ready, in
Um,
case people came in.
And so people be wondering in,
Yeah.
if anyone is here for Shaker Road, the zone change, that has been continued. So, if anyone is here relative to the waivers that we just did, you will get a call when they're ready to come in and pick them up at the office, okay? So, it takes a little while to get through all the paperwork. Okay, we have an A&R for Lessard Circle. What do we have? It's this one. This is a fairly simple A&R. Somebody had their shed on somebody else's lot, and so they're doing a change in the lot line from here to here so that this shed is on this people's property. Okay? Again, one of those things where in order to sell the house, they have to
Yeah. Get the
tighten
title right.
things up.
Yep.
Okay? Lessard Circle is off of, yep, Westwood, yeah, Westwood, sorry. It's that little subdivision just before you get to Maple Street,
Yep.
on the right-hand side. So,
Kind of approval do you need?
just need a motion to approve. The frontage is not changing, so there's no, actually, not to approve, to endorse.
Make a motion
endorse.
to endorse.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You have Sharpie.
I'm sorry?
Sharpie? Sharpie?
Well, no,
No,
he's-
this
he's
is
just doing
Sharpie.
that.
You can sign the others afterwards.
Okay.
Only needs one signature, right? Moving right along. We have some sign permits.
So the Town of East Long Meadow sign permit application, business name and address says Secure Energy Solutions LLC, 515 Shaker Road, East Long Meadow, Mass. Let's see, attention. The contact person is Christopher Doobie. It's not freestanding, the sign is not freestanding, it is attached to the building. The setback from property line is 42 feet, the distance to the nearest yard line is 47 feet. This will be permanent and illuminated. There are no existing signs. There are 2 proposed signs with a total square feet of 7 feet by 6 feet, times 2. The estimated cost of the sign is $2,500. And so the current use of the property is the office space, and it'll continue to be that way in proposal. The project description is the Mount Company logo sign on north and on south sides of existing silo on building. Signs will be LED backlit. Silo is above existing buildings, residents adjacent to facility. And there are also no changes to the building site or lot.
Okay, so this is down in the industrial park. Okay.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. This is a building that was Sarantec?
Yeah.
Durham Optic.
Sarah Optic, yeah. It's good to see that one filled. Next one, we have the number 9, the Recreation Department has asked to withdraw that request, subject to further review. There were issues, they wanted to do was put banners on the, sell banners, basically, advertising banners on the fields to raise some money, but there were First Amendment issues raised about the ability to limit what could be advertised. And there was concern that with all the smoke shops in town and so on, that there are certain products that you might not want to have on a little league field. Okay, so that's under review, and we probably will see it again in the future, but yeah, it's a great idea. It's just in the implementation that there are problems. So,
So you want to vote to approve, to grant the withdrawal without prejudice?
so we need a motion to allow them to withdraw their application without prejudice.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And finally, we have Dora's Dental for a temporary sign at 281 Maple Street.
Okay, so the Town of East Long Meadow sign permit application, Doris Dental. The business owner name and address is James Doris. The contact person is Louis Carcazze. It'll be a freestanding sign. The square feet of the area of the proposed sign is 35 square feet. The height above ground is going to be 14 feet 9 inches. It will not be attached to the building. There will be no projection. The setback from the property line is 17 feet. Distance to the nearest sign yard is 33 feet. Distance to the top of the sign above the vertical wall, there is none. This is going to be temporary for 1.5 years, and it'll be non-illuminated. The number of existing signs is 1, which is 21 square feet, and then there will be the 1 additional proposed sign for a total square footage of 56 square feet. The estimated cost of the sign is $400. There is no changes to the building site or lot. This is the dental office and will continue to be in the proposal. So the project description is a temporary flag for new dental office for clients to know that the office is now open.
Do I have a motion on this one? So to open it up for discussion.
I'll make a motion to approve for the purposes of discussion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I don't like the idea of a year and a half. I think that's way too long for a grand opening sign.
We turned down the veterans group
Yep.
several months ago for that.
I would suggest that we give them...
Is there anybody here from Doris Dental?
No.
Right here.
Come on up and talk to us. I don't see a picture of the sign in the package to begin with.
Louis was to put the picture in. It's just a banner sign,
And-
flag sign.
Oh, right. Is this-
Yeah, it's there.
Oh, that one, okay, got it.
We didn't
You
know
don't see
he,
it, George?
Oh, one of those flags, okay.
I was not aware that he had, I'm the practice manager, that I had put it for a year and a half.
Okay,
We were on Dwight Road in Romeo.
right.
And we have a number of patients that keep going to Dwight Road because it's 6 months between your cleanings.
Yeah,
So that was the problem, that our patients kept going back to Dwight Road.
yeah.
And not realizing that we're around the corner. So that's why we requested is just to put the banner up, so they can know the flag sign when they come around, they can spot us, especially with all that construction that's going there.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me say, I appreciate you actually applying for the permit as opposed to just doing it. Secondly, would not normally approve a temporary sign for a year and a half. I would suggest that we do approve for 6 months, and if you still feel the need is there after 6 months, you come back to us for a extension. Would that be acceptable? So, I'm going to propose an amendment to approve this for 6 months. Anyone?
I move the proposal
For 6 months.
for 6 months, yes,
Do
sir.
I have a second on that?
I'll second it.
Further discussion?
6 months, a long time for, they moved into a new facility.
Mhm.
You're gonna be staying there for a long time. You have sign designs. I don't know why it takes 6 months.
Because your cleanings, when you go
No,
for
why
your-
don't you put in a permanent
So they do
sign?
have a permanent
We
sign.
have a permanent sign.
That solved the issue?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, now we get on to the interesting stuff. As we pointed out, number 11, the zoning amendment has been continued to September 11th. The next one is the self-storage on Grove Avenue. This is a continuation, we're opening a continuation of the public hearing for the self-storage at Grove Avenue. And as I recall, our concern was as to whether or not the lot line or the zone line was where the setback was.
Yes.
And we have, I believe, a determination from the building, the zoning enforcement officer. Excuse me, do we have a determination from the zoning enforcement officer on this one?
Grove Avenue?
Yeah.
Yes.
Zoning is determined for the lot line, the district line, and doesn't allow use.
John, do you want to read into the record the memo we got from Mr. Manning? You have it there?
Yes, from Mr. Manning. What about the one previous
The
from Mr. P. Gillen?
Timothy Manning?
Yes, there's also one from Mr. P. Gillen.
What's the date on that one?
That is July 17th, 1:15 p.m.
Okay, so read them both then.
Okay, I'll read Mr. Manning. just to not make it
I
confusing.
have to read,
What?
what are you reading? I'm sorry.
We have the submission from Mr. Manning. Do we need to read
You
that?
don't have to read them into the record. You
Okay.
can read them to yourselves and say
Okay,
the comment
so-
is duly
so-
noted and they're available in the office.
Okay, so they are part of the record?
Yes.
Okay, then fine, we don't need to read them. What I do have here is a determination from the zoning enforcement officer. Okay, as the town zoning enforcement officer, I've been asked to make a zoning determination for the property located at Zero Grove Avenue, parcel ID 1532E, for a proposed self-storage facility. The request at hand is the determination of the required buffer zone requirements listed in Table 3-2 for industrial district and defined under Section 3.341 buffer strip requirements, which state, when abutting a resident district, the rear yard and/or the side yard shall be 50 feet. 25 feet of such rear or side yard nearest the residence district shall be left as a natural wooded buffer, or if none exists, shall be landscaped by providing trees, shrubs, fencing to provide a practical buffer between the two districts. Please refer to the definition of yard, rear, and side on page 815 of the town's zoning bylaws. It states that the requirements for what a yard is considered as followed, and it gives the definitions in the, I understand that an opinion was given back in 2005, but referring to and measuring a lot line and not a theoretical zoning district line will always confer to a solid point of reference. As you can reference in the town's zoning bylaws, section 2.1, district locations and boundaries, sections 2.11 through 2.15, the district boundary lot has a lot of flexibility and inconsistency on its location. In my professional decision, it will be determined that any side or rear yard requirements and any buffer zone requirements will be measured and determined from the lot lines, also known as the property lines, and not the district boundary line. And I have another letter from him saying, Dear Vice Chair Russ Denver of the board and planning board members, as the town zoning enforcement officer, I have been asked to make a zoning determination for the property located at Zero Grove Avenue, parcel ID 15-32-E, for the proposed self-storage facility. The request at hand is the determination of the by right use of this proposed facility in an industrial district and not an allowed use for residential dwellings. Residential uses are referenced in the town's zoning bylaw in Table 3-1, 3.03 residential uses, which states that single-family detached dwellings are not an allowed use in an industrial district per section 3.03. 0. Industrial uses are referenced in the bylaws in Table 3.1, 3.08 industrial uses, section 3.080 states, industrial uses not commonly considered hazardous or noxious are allowed. All industrial uses are permitted except those listed in section 3.01. This specific type of project is not listed in the prohibited uses, and in my professional opinion, is a by right use in an industrial district. So, that's what we have for the opinion of the determination of the zoning enforcement officer. So,
Great.
do you have anything to add for us?
Yes, sir. For the record, Rob Levesque from our Levesque Associates. Here with me this evening are the members from Baldwin Street LLC, Mr. Frank Fitzgerald, as well as Charlie Richards. So we're here this evening to kind of follow up on the last public hearing that we had. As you're aware, there was about 3 or 4 outstanding items. The first was, the first and simplest was that there was a question and concern raised by the fire department. The chiefs of the fire department had concern about access. So we did take the time to meet with him. We reviewed our site plan, and we changed a couple things in our site plan to allow for an access aisle. It turned out that he was looking for one specific route through the site. It's a little bit difficult to see, but you'll see that we've hatched an area. So this drive lane here, we have them looping around and coming back out. He didn't want to be, wasn't concerned about getting into every little nook and cranny, but here we have him looping around. So we've taken the corners of the buildings off so that he can get around and comfortably maneuver his vehicles.
Okay.
We were right at the radius before. This gives him a little bit more comfort level that during snow conditions that there won't be an issue. So we revised that, we sent that to the chief, we had received an email back that that was acceptable. In that email, I had forgotten to put a hydrant in. Since then, we had done that, so the plans that you see before you, we have a hydrant installed right up in the front up here, and then the layout has been revised to accommodate the access for the fire vehicles. That was one item. The next item was a peer review by Tim Kuhn, the town's peer review engineer from Russo Associates. We have addressed all of their comments in specific comments. We've adjusted the bottom of the stormwater basin up a little bit and changed the grading ever so slightly to allow for the 2-foot separation, which was probably the biggest comment. All the other comments were addressed, and I believe there's a letter to that effect from Mr. Kuhn from Russo Associates, basically describing, and I think your planner had him clarify, because initially he said they were addressed, but he kind of clarified back and forth, which was helpful for the record, so that I think helps. So with that, there's those 2 items, and then I think...
Just before you go too far.
Yes, sir.
So I have a July 3rd email from Paul Morissette to Connie
Yep.
indicating what the issues are, but I don't have a copy of the email that you say you got back from the chief.
I can give you the date, actually, if you'd like, and I don't know if Connie was
I want a copy.
You know?
I think it might.
No, I only
might
have the
be in
16th, that's why I sent you, where Chief was still questioning the radius.
The folder.
I can email it to Connie and I can show it to you, but I give you the date regardless. So the comments back from the fire chief said, John, the fire department access looks good. Is there a hydrant located near the office? This was on August 8th at 7:57 p.m. And that's from Paul J. Morissette, and I will forward that to Connie right now for the record.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, we have the determination from the zoning enforcement officer that that building has the proper setback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct. I think that was the third item, so.
Yeah, that was the third item, that was...
I'm not aware of any other outstanding items, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. And I did just email that, thank you.
John, any questions for us? Lou?
Not-
Russ? I'll open it up to the public. If anyone wants to add any additional comments on this, please identify yourself, sir.
I'm Phil Abear, 5 Fifth Street, East Long Meadow. I just have a question concerning the drawings and stuff. You know, at the last meeting we had, Mr. Chairman, you gave us a little history as far as the industrial zone and stuff.
Right.
But one of the things, and you asked a question in your little history. Why hasn't this property been developed in the past? And this is a complex parcel that for many years went undeveloped because one of the main reasons is not only one person owned it all. It was actually divided up into a number of lots. And as you well know, a lot of these lots had certain rights of use of access to certain roads. And basically it was divided up between McCullen's property, Lindstrom Cormier's property in here, and then White Lightcap owned the front part. And as you well know, Glendale Road is a private way, same as Fifth Street is a private way. To the best of my knowledge, the private way of Glendale applied to the front lots and never to Cormier's lot that's back here, or past my residence. Anything past my boundary line belonged to Cormier, which was this whole property here. They never had access rights to Glendale Road, which goes from Edmund Street all the way to the tracks. Lightcap deeded that access or rights only to his lots, not Cormier's lot, or Lindstrom's former lot, which from the back of my property back is Cormier's up to, at one point this was McCullen's property, which he acquired back in the 50s. So my question to the board is, anything past my property line, does it still have those rights to use Glendale Road, a private way for normal business access?
The access is from Baldwin Street, not from Glendale. Okay.
Glendale goes to the tracks. Baldwin Street butts Glendale Road as a private way, in reality, and on paper and deeds. And I have the deeds here. I can share them with you.
The point is, sir, it's now one lot. It was brought together into a single lot. It's a single parcel, okay?
So my question to the board is, if the old deeds are terminated, do the rights on those old deeds terminate also, and they have to be reestablished to use the private way of Glendale Road?
I'm not sure what you mean by the rights. We have a public way called Baldwin Street.
Right, which stops at the edge of Glendale Road private way. Baldwin Street does not go into this property. This property is on Glendale Road private way.
Baldwin Street goes directly into the property. I don't get your point.
Well, my point is Glendale Road doesn't go, it goes from Edmund Street all the way to the railroad tracks.
So there's an intersection. Baldwin Street is how, it's
Baldwin Street butts up against Glendale Road private way.
It's an intersection, okay? Baldwin Street is a public way, and it provides access to the site. I don't get your issue that you're trying to block people from getting into the site from the end of Baldwin Street. It doesn't make sense.
Well, I'm saying it's not Baldwin Street, it's Glendale Road private way. Because the Glendale Road private way went to the tracks from Edmund Street.
Anytime two streets cross, you have something called an intersection,
Yes.
okay?
Which one?
Which they both have access to.
I don't understand in the sense of that Baldwin Street goes to this property when the property is on Glendale Road private way.
The property is on Baldwin Street.
Then why would Lightcap in his deed transfers mention that his properties that go to the track was given access to the private way in his
But
deeds?
that deed no longer is valid.
Well, that's my point, is, does all the private way access rights go away too?
I have no idea.
I don't either. That's an opinion for the
I'm
for our
not,
town
I'm not a
attorney.
property lawyer, okay?
I'm not either, but I'm asking those questions.
My point is, the access is from a public way on Baldwin Street.
And I'm questioning that.
Fine, I appreciate your comments.
Okay. Because I don't think anything past my property line back has access rights to that Baldwin Street.
It's one parcel now. It's one parcel. It's not four parcels, it's one parcel. It's one lot.
So you're
treated as a
telling me-
whole.
So you're telling me that all those deeds and all those rights that were on those deeds are terminated?
I'm not telling you that, I'm telling you that it's now one lot, and it has access from a public way.
And I'm questioning that.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak to this? All right, now I'll take it back to the board. Russ, do you have any comments on that?
I do not.
Okay. Any other further questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, discussion among the board. Anyone wish to make any comments or?
So I've been fairly blunt with, with many of my comments
Yeah.
about businesses that are coming in. We have a lot of the same types of businesses.
Mhm.
This is another example. It's the property owner's rights to develop the property.
Mhm.
If it's determined to be appropriate according to the zoning.
Mhm.
We've asked the building inspector or the zoning enforcement officer to give his opinion. He said it's appropriate, it's allowed in the zone, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Do you have a second on that? I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. And my own opinion is whether or not we need more self-storage in town, that's up to the owner to determine
Yep.
the business case on that, whether or not he's gonna be able to make, you know, to make his
Yep.
investment back. That's not our determination. I think
Right.
it's one of the best uses I've seen proposed for the site, quite frankly. A lot less intensive and invasive than a lot of other industries that could go back there. So,
Including single-family
I would
homes.
also support it.
But George, can I ask a question? Was there another project before this one?
Yes, oh yes, there were two of them, okay? And the first one was for a group of industrial buildings. It was gonna be the fire restoration people, and they were gonna put up buildings for their own use, and then also buildings they were gonna rent out, okay? And then Mr. Carabetta proposed to divide the site and put residential on one half of it and leave the other for industrial, and that did not go anywhere. So this is the most recent proposal, and I think it's good. Okay, I'll do a roll call.
I just
John?
wanted to say a few
Yeah.
things just before we
Yeah.
voted, but I appreciate when people comment because I read all of it and I rewatched the testimony, so I think it's terrific when people get involved and share their opinion. And I sort of agree with what some of the board members had said earlier. This is probably one of the better uses that we've seen. But I did want to make that point that I appreciated somebody that's new here, people's input, and I did read all of it. So it was good public comments, so,
So, take a roll call. John?
yay.
Louis?
Yay.
Russ? Aye. So it passes 4-0 unanimously for who's here. So the site plan is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now that it's approved, what's the next step? Relax. I have a right to ask a question. You don't
Yeah,
have to
sure.
mumble under your breath.
So, would you be so kind as to identify yourself for the record?
Yes, Amy Hebert on 20 Glendale Road, who abuts your other property that is still left unfinished behind it.
So the next step is we're going to prepare the decision. It's filed with the clerk, the town clerk, within 14 days from this meeting. So we have 14 days to prepare and get that decision to town clerk. 20 days from the time that the town clerk stamps that appeal in, interested parties have the right to appeal. And I would speak specifically with the town clerk to see which court of a competent jurisdiction you would be appealing to in this case. And that's what you have, that's what you have to do.
And with that appeal, can we also argue the road?
So I would urge you to engage legal counsel to argue, because you are going to be going to court. You're not going to be before the planning board.
Right, because it doesn't do us any good as residents anyways to
However,
voice our
this is,
concerns about the
this is site
traffic.
plan approval, right? This is site
Right.
plan approval, so actually you go to the ZBA. You're going to go to the
Oh.
ZBA.
Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yeah.
But as to what you can appeal on, that's up to you to determine with your counsel.
And I've already spoken, and we've already established that the dirt hill is not public at all. And that is the concern we have. We also have concerns about how you're saying we can lower the berm instead of hiring it so that we cannot see the lighting or the noise, and it does echo. So that is a concern in the transients that will use it, because even though it's only open during business hours, everybody in this room is familiar what is stored inside self-storage unit. That's not, you can set restrictions on it, and we all know that once you privately rent one,
Okay, the point is, you have a right to appeal.
yes, I do.
Basis to your appeal is for you to determine,
Yes, it is.
okay? So.
So that's
that-
it,
that-
14
that's-
days. That's what I needed. Thank you.
We file with the clerk within 14 days, and then you have 20 days to file the appeal.
Perfect.
Okay? Thank you. Okay, the next one we have here is... Mr. Carabetta here? No. Okay, we have submission of a preliminary subdivision approval for a 7-lot subdivision. However, the applicant is not here? Or are you speaking for him?
I am speaking for him.
Okay.
So I received this afternoon, I think at, about 20 of 4, indication that there was some unfinished paperwork at the assessor's office that needed to be handled.
Right.
So I'm here and I have the plans with me. I can certainly discuss this if this is something you wish to go forward on, or if you'd like to wait until that is resolved, I can certainly request a continuance.
Well, we cannot actually issue a permit, which this is
Understood.
sort of, unless that tax issue is resolved.
Right.
So, since we're short one member tonight anyway, for you to present something to us and then have that person have to catch up, since we're going to have to continue it anyway
Right.
until the issue is resolved, I would suggest we simply continue it and deal with it when we get to it.
That makes sense.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
So do I have a motion to continue this to September 11th? The issue is one of unpaid taxes by the applicant. Okay, and more than 6 months, we can't act on it. Okay.
Okay.
Is So, motion to continue this.
So, I would also like to propose that we receive, at a minimum, 7 days written notice that they will continue again. And so, how many abutters are on the abutters list for this comment, do you know?
There aren't that many.
I didn't think there were.
Yeah. Mostly Lassard Circle. Okay.
Can I speak to that? Just, I totally understand where you're coming from, Mr. Denver. I can tell you that there's very rarely a case that I know I'm going to continue with it 7 days prior. There's almost, and I've been probably done about 400,000 site plans over the last 20 years. So, I mean, it seems like that. But I can tell you that respectfully, we would certainly request a continuance as early on as we know. Unfortunately, it's very rare, and you've probably seen this, it's very rare for us to know that we're even gonna need to continue. I found out this afternoon, you know, on the other one, we were waiting on some paperwork that thought it might come through. So I understand what you're saying. I think it's probably fairly rare that we're going to be, any consultant would be able to know 7 days prior. Because usually there's
Who makes that
outstanding.
decision? So that's, so you're not the one who makes the decision, it's the team or the...
Well, it's multiple cases, so you could be waiting for information to come in, you could be waiting on a peer review from a consultant. We could be, you know, there could be a purchase and sale issue, you know, there could be all kinds of stuff happening. I understand the concern, but I just
And
realistically.
in this case, the applicant actually had until 5 o'clock to walk into the collector's office and do something. Okay. The fact, it's 4 o'clock, I'm sorry. You know, it's not the engineer's issue this time, it's the applicant actually who did not take action. But I hear your point. I think,
I'm trying to show some respect
Oh,
for
I
the
understand.
people who take time out of their schedule to come.
I would,
Whether you know, whether you owe,
well,
I don't want to
yeah.
rhyme that, but,
It sounds good.
all right.
I
That's fine.
would-
We'll just continue that.
I would suggest, though, that going forward,
That
that
we
it-
kind of establish a policy.
we should establish a policy that if we don't have everything needed to proceed with the hearing by, let's say, the Friday before, okay, that we should automatically continue and, you know, because this business of dropping off documents the day of, you know, it just...
It doesn't give us the time to
Yeah.
review that or take that under
Yeah.
consideration.
But if I may,
Yeah.
the applicant has to petition to request the
Yeah,
continuance.
so just,
Okay.
I think it's probably best to review procedure before making a call. I understand what you're saying, but
Yeah.
I don't think you
So
can do that.
you need to request a continuance.
Yeah, so I would respectfully request a continuance on the Carabetta matter until your next available hearing.
Okay, so do I have a motion to continue to the 11th?
There's a motion on-
We haven't opened the hearing. Okay. So,
So do your motion, conclude your motion, and then you can take a question, but you have a motion on the floor.
is to continue. Yep. And it's been seconded, made and seconded, okay. So, do you have a comment relative?
I just have a question. My name is Jen Maccarini. I'm on 29 Lassard Circle. And you had mentioned that the issue is the taxes, but is it also going to be that it's going to be a decision whether or not that waiver is going to be approved that was requested at the last meeting? Is that?
We'll deal with that when we open it up again, okay?
Right, so it has been answered.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
that's right.
gotcha.
Yeah. We haven't opened the hearing, actually. So, actually, this is what we need to do. This is no, this is a continuation, right? So,
So I'll withdraw my 7-day.
okay,
Quite
fine.
For the final time.
And we will
And
absolutely.
then we will,
Yeah.
I would hope that we could put this on our agenda as an administrative item,
Right,
because, yeah,
yeah.
coming in the day of and requesting a continuance
Yeah.
is not fair to anybody.
I agree.
So,
And what we'll try to do for the board is we'll actually try to grab copies of the people that signed in. And we can certainly, if there is ever a continuance that we're anticipating, certainly if it's last minute, we would be happy if those emails are available. We can certainly, we'll send them out to everybody so at least people know what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's above and beyond, so that is something to be
Right.
commended.
nice.
Yeah.
But is the tax issue related to that property specifically?
It's related to the applicant, okay?
It's property specific.
But it has property
nothing to do with it.
specific, okay,
Oh,
so
it has
it's
nothing
that
to do with
that
us.
property that is
Nothing
in
to
the
do
So
with
we're
us.
just waiting for him
So,
to
yeah.
rectify this.
Yeah.
And once he rectifies it.
Then we can go
move
forward.
So he owns the land then,
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we have a motion to continue to the 11th. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have a new public hearing for 113, for release of surety for an A&R plan of land in 113 Patterson Avenue. So we'll open the public hearing for this.
I just would like to mention, if I may, we have some new forms. And as per the subdivision regulations, you must vote to accept under section 2.11 of the subdivision regulations, the administrative change to these forms. So, as you know, we've been updating our forms as we've moved along, but I, for the record, want to memorialize that you've reviewed these forms. They've also been reviewed by town's attorney, and that you're good with them.
Yeah, but how does that relate to this hearing?
Because it is a surety reduction that's
Okay.
been changed, the form, sorry.
So the first thing we need to do is vote to accept the new form for surety reduction.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have a copy of that?
Yes, I'm searching amongst my
Okay.
folders. So this particular project is for an A&R, and the approval not required was granted for frontage along a paper street. So when you approve this partial release of surety, you still have to maintain 20% under the rules and regulations for the development of paper streets for the town of East Long Meadow. Okay, so I've taken the stipulations that are set forth in this document that has been used by the town and incorporated those terms into the structure of this release. I've also included Mr. Torsia's appearance before the Conservation Commission to request the certificate of compliance, so that in the future, when someone is doing any type of research or review of information, it's all on one sheet of paper, and nobody is rifling through documents and file folders to gather this data. So it makes it clean, concise, and presentable as a tool for recording.
Okay.
Our earlier forms were a little light on the details.
Mhm. Now, in here, do we have something that says that DPW has signed off on this?
Actually, we do. So.
Where is that?
It's in the, so here we have, and this is why you're going to be retaining
Right.
20%.
Right.
Because for 1 year, the town is required to hold on to 20% of the surety to make sure that once the year passes, that the road, because this is specific to the road construction, meets the standards of performance for the town. So there's a little bit of money left that's held back. It's different from your typical surety and performance bond because this is applicable to that paper street. Okay, so in the paragraphs, on August 6th, 2018, Michael F. Torsia of Michael Frank Design LLC submitted to the Planning and Community Development Department a letter of request for final release of cash surety to include interest calculated by the applicant. Mr. Torsia stated a site inspection was conducted by Department of Public Works Superintendent Bruce Fenney on June 20th, 2018, and work at the site has been completed to specification. However, the town had not received the as-built plans for the plan and profile of the road construction. That will come 1 year in the future, okay? And that way, when DPW goes to look at the road, they make sure that the drainage, the hydrants, any of the infrastructure is in place, okay? But what you have before you is the as-built for the lot development.
Okay, but my question is, with all respect to Mr. Torsia, we have an assertion by Mr. Torsia that the Public Works Superintendent stated that it had been completed to specification. Do we have something from Bruce himself that says
A
that?
written comment, but again, the final release will take place
I understand
in
that,
a
but
year.
do we have something supporting this from DPW?
His word, my conversation with
Well,
him.
in the future, we should request
So we
something
can
in
add-
writing so that we've got his signature on here as well.
Okay.
With all due respect to you, it's just as a procedure.
No.
Yeah, well, I have a document here.
Oh, you do, okay.
And I have a document here that I would like to present to the board.
Sure, sure.
As you're aware now, there's a new form of government in town. There's new people hired.
Yeah.
And actually, we did get an email from DPW saying they had no comment in
Okay, well,
regard to.
that should be attached to this, but, okay.
They-
Please,
Yeah.
just identify yourself for the record.
I'm Michael Torsha. I live at 65 Smith Avenue, East Long Meadow. And I did this project. I've done many other projects before. My first project was in '92. I was in front of you for maybe a different board, but
Right.
I've been here and I've worked with other people on this board, and obviously, if you see here, I'm sure it'll be upset. So my concern was, I did this project, I invested $300,000 at least, plus another $39,000 in a surety or performance bond, as it was called. I worked closely with DPW, and I did everything they required. We did have a conversation with, is it Mr. Christensen, is that his last name, Tom? And there was some debate about whether I had to put a fire hydrant or not, and I'm not gonna give you all the details, but I did it, and it's for a clean out, and he kind of said he needed it, but whatever, I didn't want to argue the point. And then another step I did, and it was infrastructure for the town, is I spent $20,000 plus and put a water main in and didn't put a well. So that's benefit the town, they're already tapping in. Now, I've done this many times before, and if you read the bottom left, what I have highlighted, the DPW, and there's the confusion comes in, because there was a new planning director who's very good and very knowledgeable, but I would feel that this project, which I submitted in April of 2017, should follow under the guidelines. And I am aware that there is rules on the books, but they were never, ever enforced. Never. So why do I have to be the first one that, that has to be, I did my work, I did my due diligence, I did what was expected of me above and beyond. And now I'm gonna be penalized to have I'm a small business owner, I'm gonna have $8,000 held for a year when I passed everything. And it was brought up by other people that there are problems with other subcontractors or builders. And I've been in front of these boards, my dad is no longer able to work anymore, but we've been doing business in this town probably since 1990 at least, and we haven't had any problems. So, why do I have to be, the first case when the rules are changed in the middle of the game?
Well,
That's my appeal to the board.
I appreciate your concerns, Mr. Torsia. Somebody's got to be first.
But I didn't do it under those rules. I didn't do it under the new rules and a new director.
But this is, the rules are coming from DPW, okay?
Well, if you read, this is DPW's document. This ain't my document. This is their document. And it says 10%, and it says when all signups are made. It doesn't say anything about a year, anything like that. And I'm not arguing with.
No, so if I may, and I understand, so because we have several new members of staff in place, they didn't know where all these documents were. So truly, we were cleaning one day and found this.
Yeah.
And then we uploaded it to the computer, so it's on the website. So now going forward, people know.
Yeah,
But this was this particular, the rules and regulations for the development of paper streets for the town of East Long Meadow was implemented on March 14th, 2011. And it's 2018, so I can't speak for my.
I'm not arguing the point at all, not one bit. It just that it seems unfair that the rules were, when I would have never did this project knowing that $8,000 was gonna be held back. I wouldn't have done it. And I would have put a well in. I mean, there's just too many things thrown at me, and And it was done under the previous planning director, and the DPW has a document that, which, this is the only document I received when I handed over 39,000. So, I mean, I guess that means nothing, you know? And I know that's there, I know this is not rules or regulation officially recorded, but it's coming out of DPW. And Mr. Exposito, I believe his name, Roy's last name, I worked with him hand in hand, and it was expected that the money was coming back. And I know he's not on the planning board, he's not the planning director, but there's hundreds of cases before that show what I'm trying to explain. And if I do a project tomorrow, I'm glad to follow all the new rules and all the regulations, and I have no problem with that. And I've always followed the rules and regulations, as you're aware of.
But the board doesn't have the power to say, take that $8,000. The DPW is the only entity that can say, we release it. So that final release does come through.
Yeah, but I'm just showing you the other document. I didn't make this document up.
Well,
This is-
know.
yeah.
They need to change their document,
Yes.
obviously, okay?
Yeah.
But the point is, our mandate from DPW is to hold 20%, and that's what we're gonna do. And at this point, I'll first entertain a motion to accept the new form that has been developed. So that,
So moved.
do I have a second on that? That's this document you're looking at here. And John, I don't know whether you need to recuse yourself on this one.
Not on the form.
Not on the form, not on the form.
Okay.
So to accept the form,
Although we don't need your vote, I
Yeah.
wouldn't think.
Yeah, I think just to be on the safe side,
okay.
I'll
I don't
second
want
it.
to go
Okay.
in with anything.
So all those in favor of accepting the new form, say aye.
Aye.
And one abstention. Now,
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to release the bond less 20% to be held for 1 year per the recommendation of, or the request of the DPW.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And one abstention. Okay, thank you. The best I can do for you, Mike, sorry.
Okay, the rules are changed in the middle of the game, and
It happens.
yeah, it does. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Michael.
Take care.
We'll have that for you, okay?
Great.
I'll have them sign, and then if you have time tomorrow,
Yeah, just
We'll get it
let
ready.
me know when to try to email or give me a call. Thank you.
thank you.
You're a notary, right?
No,
Oh, who-
are you notary?
No, so
I am.
I can't sign this. Oh, you can't?
Are you
do it?
notary?
I am.
Splendid.
Then I can sign this. You know who I am.
I do. Personal knowledge. Wait, I want to see your ID. Come on.
Okay.
At my other board, my clerk was always the notary, so.
Robin was a notary, so
Oh, well, maybe you should request that I become one.
I'd be happy to request, whoever requested it.
Me.
Okay. No, I think that would be a great idea, quite frankly, because of all the documents that end up being notarized. It makes life a lot easier.
Yes.
And I'm sure that we can find a way to cover the fees.
Have to close the public hearing, close the hearing.
Have a motion to close the public hearing
On,
on the release.
So moved.
And a second.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We took a little bit out of order, but. Okay, what does that leave us with now? We have, that's all of our official business. We talked about changing the dates, and we're gonna hold off on the November dates until we see how things shape up.
I also have new covenants for you to review.
Okay?
Okay, so this was for our earlier case that
That
was
we're not doing,
continued.
yeah.
Mhm. So what I would,
Can you just
Email them to us.
email, do you have copies of that for everybody? Or
I
you
have
could-
the copies to be signed, but since we're not signing them and I have to redate them, if you would,
Yeah, we give us some hard copies, and we can review them, and
because I'll have to change them
then at the
now.
next meeting, we can vote on,
Just that you can accept the form for me.
yeah, accept the form.
And
Um, And I think for the time being,
We're gonna email them.
Yeah, it would be
And then
good if-
vote on them?
if you could email them.
And then we can vote at the next meeting.
Next meeting.
Okay, that makes
Russ
sense.
would prefer to get it
Okay,
emailed.
that's fine,
Okay?
that's fine. Do I have an extra copy home? If,
Oh, do you want the copy of this back?
what do you have?
The, what we were discussing earlier.
I do
Comment?
need Mr. Torsia's partial release back signed, thank you, so that,
Yeah, we have-
okay, and then we'll get the treasurer, and I will have him sign,
Fine.
and I will fill in this
Yeah.
information,
Yeah.
You don't have to
okay?
sign it.
Okay. I think we're gonna
George does.
plan on staying here for our hearings going forward, our meetings going forward.
You think it'll be enough space, especially with the
I
Dunkin'
think,
Donuts?
I think for most of them, it's
Just do
gonna
it
be
that
enough
way. We
space.
didn't have to do nothing with them, right?
And it does make it easier for LCAT, and if we have access here, which we don't have access at the senior center. Plus, there are a lot of conflicts with the senior center, so.
So this is the Torsia form again.
Okay. And what else do we have here? We have the master plan update.
Yes. We have had, I think, a pretty good response. We uploaded the survey to the website, and we utilized SurveyMonkey, and we're still working on extrapolating the data because we had 400 respondents, and we were limited to 100 for the pre-program.
We're close to 500.
We're close to 5 now.
Different individual
Yep.
people or multiple, or did people do multiple?
So we uploaded it.
question.
Yeah, yeah. Here, let me give these to you, please. So as you know, we did our first soft public outreach, if you will, at National Night Out, and I passed out.
Very great, by the way, that was good to see everybody.
I know, it was a wonderful event. So we had paper surveys, and I collected about 12 that evening, and then we had additional surveys that were returned to the town hall. So you'll see an Excel spreadsheet on the first page, but then you'll see the SurveyMonkey responses. And most of the pages pertain to the open-ended question about the Rotary. If you could do one thing to improve it, what would you do? And I did a PowerPoint and I captured everything because I was in the 11th hour. And again, we're still trying to work out the details of gathering all that data. But does everyone have a copy of the master plan?
Yeah, they got copies of this.
Okay, so if you wanted to take a minute and look at it, make any comment, we can talk about it. How do you want to approach it?
I think I'd like to take this home and go through it. I'm gonna
Okay.
go through it now.
Okay.
This is very,
May I bring out the overwhelming response that we did seem to have
Yes?
was in support of the bike trail, expansion of the bike trail, as well as preserving the railroad station. So those two items seem to create a lot of passion amongst our townspeople.
So did the brewery.
And, the brewery or the winery. Yeah, people seem to like the brewery or the winery, so we're all gonna be drinking at the railway station and riding our bicycles.
Right.
oh, that'll be fun.
No. Anyway, it was fun. I'm very grateful for the response.
What did people say about the Rotary?
Oh, that was open-ended and that was a boatload of fun. So.
The
there were some
non-duty
interesting-
police officer would have been good.
People want you to actually please stop at the stop signs.
Yeah.
You know, please stop at the stop signs.
Can we look at the other data too, or did that get?
There's more, but what I did was I took what I could get, and you'll see it.
All through them?
Yeah, it's at the final pages. There were 84 responses that I could grab. And I just dropped them in a PowerPoint presentation. So, it was nice to see, and again, I'm very grateful for the tremendous, I think this was a great response.
Yes,
You know,
it's good.
Really
It's very good
So
to
thank
engage.
you to all of you who took the time and take a look at this. We'll continue, we'll leave it on the agenda. This is a topic of discussion that's going to roll forward for now. We're also working on the open space and recreation plan. That is an element of the master plan, so there's a subcommittee that is examining all that data, putting together the final plan so that we can move that forward, and that makes us eligible for state grants, which is a good thing. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And then we have commercial vehicle definition.
I'm sorry, I haven't had a chance to really dive into that
Okay.
so much, but
Is that something we're gonna be weighing in on? Or
Yes.
Because I know that was a topic of discussion before.
It's something we have to put into the bylaw. And so we would have to hold a hearing, vote on the definition, then send it to town council for their hearing to be held. The other thing that I hope we can start moving on is the change in sign permitting. So we get those off the agenda as soon as possible.
yes.
Again, since it's up to the building inspector to determine whether or not the signs meet zoning, and if they do meet zoning, we just rubber stamp them. It's kind of silly to take up another half hour doing signs when we don't need to. So, but again, that's going to be a change to the bylaw, so it's going to take a hearing and a hearing at town council, so it's going to end up taking a month and a half to get done. So we need to
Get that new change.
Yeah, we need to get started on these things. They're not earth-shattering, but
Yeah.
we need to move them along, so. And I know you're really busy, but we need to somehow or other work that stuff in.
Oh, I know, we are, and as you know, I send you dribs and drabs of, and actually, if you started to collect that information and then brought it to the table, and then we could have discussion about what I have found in my research, or just through my communications with other planning professionals.
Can we put that on the agenda for the 11th?
On the 11th, we have the candlelight ceremony
Yeah.
at the fire department, so we're going to try and keep it an abbreviated meeting so that you all can attend the ceremony that starts at 8 o'clock. Does that meet with your approval? Are you all set with that? Is that good? Give enough
That's
time?
good, although we have public hearings, and we will need to hear the public. So, depends on how much public wants to be heard as to whether or not we can stay on schedule, okay?
And I
But,
think if you announce at the beginning, we will be adjourning at
well,
7:30.
people have a right to speak.
Yeah.
and
Should we make
need-
it earlier, perhaps?
What?
Should we make the meeting earlier, perhaps?
I don't think so.
It's not a national holiday, it's not a state holiday.
Yeah, it's not.
Just do
something-
our hearings
Yeah, we'll
and-
do our hearings. If we
Do
get-
our best.
If we get done on time, we get done on time. If we don't, it's not the end of the world, okay? We can-
Support it.
We can go late.
Yeah.
The fire chief won't miss us if we have business to do, okay? So, let's do what we can. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through everything, but I'm not gonna cut people off or continue hearings because we run out of time. It's not gonna happen. Okay, any other business? Everyone else?
So I have two things. So I think I mentioned before everybody got here, though, I'm gonna get an appointment with Connie and see what we can do about eliminating the eyesore that is at the Rotary that is going by the name of the farm stand,
Mhm.
so that we can put something into the zoning to restrict temporary uses within the Rotary primarily for public safety issues. So we will hopefully have something in the next month or so. And then I want to raise the issue of the back and forth between the lawyers for the petitioners and the town council. I essentially needed an act of God to get an opinion from the town council. We had to go through the planning director and then go through the town manager to approve, to get some type of opinion. You weren't here yet. From the town council, and yet we've got petitioners going directly to town council. So have you done that in the past? I mean, I mean, the board, I'm talking to you as chair.
This is the first time I've ever had direct request from an applicant to town attorney.
Yeah.
I've not had that either, and I was
I was
We're actually
stunned a little
not-
bit.
We have an
Yeah.
agenda, put this item up for discussion on the agenda, but I will address that was, since the case was discussed earlier this evening for clarification. I was not aware that there was a discussion between the legal counsel. That was
Well, he
news to me.
mentioned it.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
was, that was news to me. I had my opinion from our town council, which was given to you, and I did not know there was another opinion forthcoming.
So we need to resolve that.
We need to
because
tighten that,
We need to make sure that you know
chain.
what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, basically.
Yeah.
That's very important.
So we will have another conversation.
And the other things, if you could please pass along to however you need to do it, but these people who come in and say, well, I got approval from the DPW director, I got approval from the fire chief, I got approval, well, you know, we're very cynical these days. So without something in writing from the department head, that's just not gonna fly anymore.
So what we've done to help compile the comments for the meeting is Tracy created a spreadsheet so that you have something in front of you to look at. We're still kind of tweaking the format.
Sure. But
We have the emails, they're
Yeah.
just not printed.
Yeah, well, that's the point, is if we have comments from the departments, they should be attached to the decision, okay? Or somehow we need to have them in writing so we know that we got them and we know what the wording was, because you run into cases where the applicant says, oh, I'm approved, and you get the actual email, and there's a couple of caveats in there that,
Well, what we do with the decision is we take the actual verbiage and add that to the notice of decision.
right, but
Yeah.
we should be
But
able
for
to
us
see
to
the
make a
actual.
decision,
You need that verbiage.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
need the verbiage, yeah.
So nobody is doing letters of response on letterhead anymore. That's, you know, the people just don't have, just so that you know, it was done
Yeah.
in the day. I'm encouraging my Department of Public Works, or our Department of Public Works, to put it on letterhead, because in the past, what we've done for our decisions, because generally they have the most information, and for someone to retype, if you will, all of those stipulations that are set by the DPW is time-consuming and tedious. So what we would do is we would take that memo from the DPW and attach it to the
Yeah.
decision and reference attachment
That's the
one.
way it should be done.
Or, you know, so that's how
Yeah.
we would address that. So when you have those, probably not going to get it so much from the other review team members, again, try
But-
as we may.
But even a hard copy of the email
Email?
would be appropriate,
Okey-dokey.
okay? So
Yeah.
that
You have-
we've got something in hard copy that says, yes, this is approved, these are the issues, et cetera. Okay? Because, again, fire department's not here, you know, I mean, I trust the applicants to a certain extent, but you lay yourself open,
Yes, sir,
okay? So,
I agree.
okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Have a second?
That's it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Get up and go.